What's up, guys? In this video, we've got some huge news. We've got changes to dungeons, bosses, class balance. We also have some really interesting news. We've seen that New York has gone to hell, if you've been keeping up with the news with the Canadian wildfires. And we have some really awesome user-generated content suggestions, and I've got some interesting tips for you all in this video. So let's begin. We've got some big updates from Adam Fletcher regarding bosses, dungeons, monsters, and even some class changes. First up with the boss changes, they increased the level range for world bosses on world tier 3 and 4. Not only that, they also increased the total damage dealt by the level 100 pinnacle boss and reduced their total health. So making them do a little more damage and having a little less health so that the fight maybe is going to be a little shorter and a little more intense. When it comes to dungeons, they made further adjustments to elite spawn rates in dungeons. I know elite spawn rates, everyone's been kind of complaining that, dungeons just don't have the monster density that we feel like they should. So hopefully these spawn rates are improved. Not only that, but they fixed an issue where players would teleport to the wrong location in multiple dungeons while transitioning through levels of the dungeon. Absolutely experienced this myself. Very buggy and kind of terrifying to be teleported forward into a group of monsters and you're like, whoa, 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 why am I here? Would not have expected that. When it comes to monster changes, the fly host and resurrected fly host from Trembling Masses will no longer be an infinite source of experience. If you run into these monsters, they basically summon flies and they can just keep summoning them over and over, and it would serve as an infinite source of experience, but no longer. And when it comes to class changes, the rogue had their advanced twisting blades cooldown reduction now match its tooltip. So what is interesting is that they made these nerfs to twisting blades, but the nerfs actually didn't go through. The only thing that changed was the tooltip, funny enough, but now they actually went through and actually made that nerf. So if you're a rogue, keep an eye out for that. Your cooldown reduction is not going to be as you remember. And finally, the legendary aspect changes. The aspect of unstable imbuements no longer excessively benefits from damage amplification effect. Sounds like a good fix to me. Seems it was too strong, I suppose. And of course, stability fixes. Can't complain with that. It's a very, very nice hotfix. Very happy about it. Obviously, any hotfix where they don't nerf the Earth Druid is a good one in my book. Up next, if you guys haven't seen it, but there have been some crazy wildfires coming down from Canada, and there is an awesome ad of Diablo 4 saying, "Welcome to Hell, New York." And you can see in the background here, the sky is literally, it looks like a Helltide, basically. It's turned orange, because of the wildfires, air quality is terrible. Everyone, don't go outside. It just says, "Welcome to Hell, New York," Diablo 4 ad. And this is going pretty viral on, the internet, and people are looking at this. And I just wanted to share. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. Everyone's saying, "Oh, good job, Blizzard marketing team, for starting those wildfires." I mean, it absolutely fits the theme of this is like hell, this is Diablo 4, and that's one screenshot. I think that one's the best one there is. But there's also this one here. You can see Times Square, the crossroads. You can see a picture of Lilith, and just the skies are orange. There's still a bunch of people outside despite the air quality warnings, but what are you gonna do? You got to go to work, right? But absolutely awesome. Not awesome for the wildfires, but I just think it's awesome how it matches these ads right here. So I thought this was really cool, and I thought it was newsworthy. Definitely something worth checking out and just being aware that this is happening. So it's really, really cool. In other news, if you are looking for a Helltide timer, there's a new website called d4events.live, which you can use to keep track of when Helltides occur. And so this is actually right here in the screenshot. We have a Helltide currently going on. They last for 1 hour, and this timer is basically going to keep track of them for you. And so this way you can basically know when they're going to happen and go and take full advantage of them. And Helltides are super important because it's the only way to get some valuable resources that you use to upgrade your gear to the highest tier. I believe they're called Forgotten Souls. They come from Helltide chests, Screaming Hell veins, and it's really important to basically go around to the Helltide, destroy monsters, gather the cinders, and then turn them into the chests. And if you ever find an event during a Helltide, it's really important to do that event because it's going to generate tons more monsters and you get even more cinders that way. So definitely do Helltides anytime you can. They only start appearing once you enter World Tier 3. So if you are wondering, hey, what the heck is a Helltide? Well, you got to get to World Tier 3, and these are going to happen periodically. So I'm going to put a link in the description below if you are interested in doing a Helltide and you're just curious when it's going to happen. Now, another really important tip that I just learned about recently is that glyphs get larger at level 15. So as you do nightmare dungeons, at the end of them, you can upgrade your glyphs. If you're ever wishing you could put a glyph glyph in a certain Paragon board, but there's just not enough nodes there in order to activate it, right? Each glyph has a requirement like 25 dexterity, 25 willpower, 25 intelligence, or maybe 40 willpower or 40 dexterity. And you're like, there's no way I can ever activate this glyph. Well, the answer is to upgrade your glyph to level 15, and it's going to have a larger range. More nodes are going to count towards getting that requirement. You just have to level it up to level 15. The higher the nightmare dungeon, the more XP you're going to be able to apply to your glyph upon completion. So it's a great idea to farm those nightmare dungeons, upgrade your glyphs in order to put them where you want to put them as they expand their range at level 15, which is sort of like a breakpoint. And speaking of breakpoints, there's actually a really cool new graphic here called item power breakpoints. You can find this on Reddit. I'll put this in the link, a link to this in the description below. But upgrading an item power past the breakpoint brings all stats and skills to the next tier, giving larger boosts than regular upgrades. All substats are also re-rolled. So if you're right on the basically the range of where you're about to get an upgrade, it's really important to just push that item above and get that upgrade. So for example, I actually was sitting at around 700 or so item power on my weapon, and when I upgraded it just once at the blacksmith to above 725, it got a huge power boost. It was actually a break point, and I found my weapon to do just an absolutely absurd amount of damage. And by the way, the only way to get to that final upgrade was actually to go do a Helltide and get that material I needed in order to make that final upgrade. So it's really, really important, again, to do those Helltides, but also know these breakpoints. Link in the description, and just make sure if your item is like barely about to go to the next item power range, go to the blacksmith, upgrade it, make it as strong as you absolutely possibly can. Now, one other tip that I thought was really interesting is that you can actually turn off player error audio. So if you're ever in town and you're so used to hitting spacebar, whatever it is, to speed up your mount after you're mounted, and your character says, oh, I can't do that in town, and you're just tired of your character telling you that you can't do it in town, well, there is a way to mute your character in the options menu under audio. All the way at the bottom, it says player audio on error. I turned that off immediately the second I learned about it, because I was so tired of hearing my druid say, can't do that in town, I can't do that yet, because, you know, I like to mash buttons, you know, it's a video game, you know, I want to mash some buttons, and you know, it's kind of, you still get the error warning, but you don't get the audio, and it's actually, I think, a great improvement. And a similar little tip is that your horse can actually make jumps. You don't need to dismount. So if there's like a canyon and, you know, you see the little footsteps, you don't actually have to get off, hit spacebar to jump across in your character and then mount up again. Your mount can actually make that jump. The one catch I've seen is you actually have to have momentum. It's not going to make the jump if you're going too slow. So make sure your horse is moving fast and you hit it at a good angle so that your horse will just make that jump immediately, and you don't have to worry about dismounting. And there's a cooldown, by the way, before you can remount again. So it's going to help you traverse the world much easier, knowing that your horse can jump across crevices like that. And finally, we have a very, very awesome mock-up on Reddit. I'm going to put a link to this as well in the description. This is what a skill tree could look like. It's what someone put together very quickly. And while it's not perfect, I actually think this is absolutely amazing and super impressive. Now, if you guys saw my criticism video of Diablo 4, which, by the way, I think the game is great, gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm playing it a lot and I love it. One thing I didn't love was the skill tree. You know, it's very, very long. It's literally impossible to see everything on the same screen. Things are just branching off into different directions. It's very hard to see everything all in one place. Well, this Reddit user was able to put together a mock-up of what the skill tree could look like, and you can see a very beautiful progression across the bottom from basic to core to defensive, companion, wrath, ultimate, and key passive there at the bottom. You can see, you know, each of the upgrades. It's just very, very well done. Obviously, it's not perfect. You can see some weird stuff going on near the top, but I think this is amazing. I hope Blizzard takes a look at this. I'd love to hear what you think about this mock-up, because I think this is really, really good. Now, I know Diablo 4, the Diablo 4 team went through so many different iterations trying to create a really good skill tree, and, you know, I'm sure this is probably the best of what they came up with, you know, what we have currently, but I think they should take a look at this, maybe get some ideas on how to fit it all into one screen, because, you know, if you look at Diablo 2, you know, you almost could see every single skill. Actually, maybe you could even see everyone. I can't even remember, but I remember it was really good in World of Warcraft. You know, eventually you started to have to scroll down those talent trees, but this is fantastic. I think this is really great, and Blizzard should take a look at it. Let me know what you guys think about this. And that's all the news I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you like this video, click that like button. It helps me out so much, and subscribe for more Diablo 4 4 content. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.